Nice. About 75. It's actually a little cooler than that. We're on the direct sun side of the shop here. Okay, what do we got going on here? Well, this guy you've seen in a couple of shorts that I've posted recently, my latest scrap acquisition. Monsoon season is going to start in a couple of months, which means lots of mowing. I've decided I'm going to retire my old Gravely walk behind that's 60 years old. Not that there's anything wrong with it. It mows good, but it's horribly slow. And with the amount of acreage I have to mow, just don't want to do that. This guy here was an estate sale acquisition. I'm not going to talk too much about this one today. We're going to focus on this thing. I'm trying to think of a name for it, so feel free to chime in the comments your ideas. This is an old Craftsman LT1000. I had one for years when we still lived up in Washington State. Great mower, you know, for your basic Craftsman mower, which is really made by MTD. But this one had some issues. We'll talk about that. Let's get into this. This thing was a freebie, my kind of price. It had sat beside a shed for years, literally. And the owners of the property wanted it gone. Apparently an older gentleman who lived there, who they bought the property from, this was what he had for a mower. And he just left it there and for them to deal with. And of course they had modern new John Deere equipment. You know, it's an acreage, so they had a diesel compact tractor and all the good toys. And this thing sat beside the shed, and they got tired of looking at it. It had been there literally for years. And so they were mutual friends with a buddy of mine in Power from the Past. And he showed up at our Romeo's luncheon here, 3 or 4 weeks ago. And for those of you that are new to the channel, Romeo's stands for Retired Old Men Eating Out. Anyway, he just, in offhand conversation, he threw out on the table. He goes, "Hey, anybody interested in a free riding mower?" Well, of course, I perked my ears right up. I said, "Sure." So long story short, I went over there, and they gave it to me. They just wanted it out of there, and it was sunk down in the dirt. You can see. It'd been sitting there for years, which is a crying shame, because if you go price a new Craftsman 42-inch deck mower, they're $2,500. And for people to just let equipment sit and rot, just, you know, makes me grate my teeth. I looked the thing over and got underneath and looked at the undercarriage. The paint was like new. I mean, you see here, the bolts underneath were like new, shiny. And I thought, this thing only had use for maybe one season, and then for whatever reason, it got parked. I know why it got parked. I'll tell you that in a minute. And they just let it, you know, go to rot. That just, Anyway, of course, the pack rats had made a huge nest here. I figured I'd be dealing with wiring issues and everything else. Well, I got it home. There was no, and you can tell how long it sat out in the sun. Check out that seat. It's totally roached. I got it home. There was no ignition key. So our local mower shop had a key for it. They're generic. The same key fits all of these LT1000s. $1.99, and I got a new ignition key. The battery. This is what's amazing to me. I don't know how many years this thing sat out there, but it was a number of years. The battery. I got the voltmeter out and I checked it, and I was shocked to discover the battery still had 4.5 volts in it after all those years. And I thought, you got to be kidding me. So what do? I throw it on the charger, slow trickle charge. What did I have it set on? 12 volt, 2 amp for 3 or 4 days. And now it's been sitting overnight. Let me show you the result. All right, let's see if I can do this one-handed without electrocuting myself. I'm gonna go negative there, positive there. Check it out, 12.10 volts. And it's been holding the charge overnight without the charger on it. So the battery came back. That is amazing to me. Guess it's back when they made good batteries. I don't know if there's a date code on this thing. I don't know. 340 cranking amps, so it ain't no high horsepower battery. But yeah, I don't know. I don't think there's a date code that I can see. But anyway, the battery came back. Well, they're north of $50 now for a lawn and garden battery. The disengage for the transaxle was stuck, which is normal for these things. They put them in a horrible location on these Craftsman LT1000s. They put them, I don't know if you can see way down in there or not. That's the lever right there. They put them right in the path of all the wet grass and everything else, and that's a shaft that goes right down into the hydrostat. And of course, they get covered with junk, and the shaft seizes up. So I had to take a hammer and smack it that way, and now it free rolls. Tires are shot. I mean, I got 2 that hold air. That one goes flat. That one's just completely, yeah, split out. So anyway, I took the battery back out because I got to work on that lever, free it up. So I put the key in it and turned the ignition, and I mean, nothing. I got nothing. And I thought, well, pack rat's been under there. That makes sense. So I probably got wiring chewed. Coil wire got chewed on a little bit. But I thought, man, I really don't want to get into wiring. But hey, free. You do what you got to do. So, crap. Nothing on the key. Then I got to thinking, wait a minute. This is a Briggs 18.5 horse. You know, it's new enough. I bet you it has an low oil sensor in it. So I pulled the dipstick, and sure enough, the oil level was below the add mark. So I topped it off with oil, sat on it, you know, because it's got the safety switch under the seat. Cranked the key. She turned right over. Pulled the spark plug out. She had great spark, which surprises the heck out of me because a flywheel, a coil, you know, they're rusty. They've been sitting there with a pack rat nest on top of them for years, you know. It's got good hot spark. So I threw some gas in it, in the tank, and I got to replace this tank. You can see it's all cracked out from sun exposure, but that's all at the top. So it'll hold enough gas down below to do what I got to do. I put some gas in it, and it had a Nike carburetor on it, and because of ethanol fuel, you know, the end of the rubber needle was all ate up, and gas just poured through it. So I just filled the bowl on it, disconnected the fuel line, and ran it back to the fill on the tank, and set the choke, and it fired right up, and it ran good. Really shocked me, and I thought, okay, he probably ran it on oil, which killed the spark, which means it wouldn't run, so the old boy just parked it, and that's as far as it went. At least that's my speculation on it. So, yeah, it runs good. I discovered that the rebuild kit for the Nike carburetor was a lot more money than just a Chinesium carburetor, brand new. So I got one. It's direct replacement. Everything fit except the vent tube. I don't know what they were thinking there. But my local mower shop's got one for a couple bucks. So I'm going to fill the bowl up and put a little gas in the tank. We'll fire this thing up, do some basic carb adjusting, and yeah. Contact. Come on. Adjustments on that carb till I get an air cleaner on it, so if it gets a little resistance on it, then I can fine tune it. But man, it's running really, really good. Very happy with that. Sounds great. I'll do an oil change on it and make sure I get some stuff in there that's got a high concentrate of ZDDP. In other words, our good friend zinc, because this is an old flat tappet engine, and I do believe these vintage Briggs have a compression release set up on them off the camshaft, and they tend to grenade and take out the entire engine. So I want to make sure I get the right oil in this thing. But yeah, it's running really good. Well, there you have it. It runs. That's a success. I didn't show it on camera, but I also engaged the hydrostatic drive forward and back. That works, and it's not whining or howling, so that tells me that the hydrostat is sound in it, which makes me believe it's starting to be worth to put a little money in and bring back to life. You know, I was willing to risk the $16 carburetor just to make sure I had a viable engine there, and it's running really good. So I got several new subscribers. I just wanted to say welcome. Glad you're here. And to all of my existing subscribers, as always, thanks for hanging around on these scrap adventures. And I just, real quick, this video is getting kind of long, but I want to clear up a misnomer. As most of you know that have been with me for a long time, I don't ask anybody to subscribe. I figure if you show up and you like the content, you're just going to subscribe. But then I realized in discussions with other YouTubers, the word subscribe also has a connotation of cost. I wish YouTube would have selected another word like follow or something like that. Subscriptions on YouTube are free unless you buy into a membership on a channel. But the subscriptions are free. They don't cost you any money. So, again, I'm not going to ask you to do it, but if you like the content, you want to see what's going on, you've all heard it before, how it all works. You hit the subscribe button and ring the bell icon and all that stuff so you get notifications. Doesn't cost any money. I'd never ask any of you for money or for anything for that matter, other than advice or to name something, that kind of thing. But I'm not into this for any kind of personal gain. I'm just sharing what I do. You know, if I wasn't putting this on YouTube, I'd still be doing the same stuff. But I just like to have you all tag along. So again, welcome new subscribers. Glad you're here. Feel free to banter with us in the comments. We have a lot of fun in the comments with all the other subscribers on the channel. So with that, I'm going to sign off. The Craftsman LT1000 runs. Thanks for joining me, everybody. We'll see you on the next one.